Okay, hello people, welcome to another video. Okay, this is the great thing. Recently, yeah, so I did not see this जब कल मैंने वीडियो निकाला था ट्राई हैक मी का dive into pen testing but part 2 offensive security basics OS security and network security. This is a big one and that's why it was too tiring to make. जिन्होंने देखा उन्हें पता है. But Soham लिखते हैं कि really helpful, keep posting, and yeah, that is great. Thank you, man. And like that is great. Wow, my emoji thing is not working, but whatever. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. So and by the way, we have 12 subscribers on 12 videos. That is amazing. People are subscribing. That is crazy good. Even though my videos are not that great. I believe these videos are not that amazing, but this one itself is very great and these ones are okay-ish. But yeah. Okay, so today we are going to go with cyber kill chain. This is this is still in penetration testing foundations. Cyber kill chain. Yeah. And then we'll go through the testing frameworks. I think maybe we will not do testing frameworks today. We'll see. But let's start with this one. Just a 50-minute video, I hope. So introduction. Inspired by the military kill chains, the cyber kill chain is a cybersecurity framework introduced by Lockheed Martin in 2011. It is created to help organizations defend against cyber attacks by understanding how they are conducted. The cyber kill chain divides an attack into 7 stages. You know, cybersecurity is kind of like uh, if you are going to teach hacking, then people going to learn hacking, and then then it's on the person who learned hacking on how they are going to use it. Because we can use this kill chain to disrupt things, right? Instead of saving them. Reconnaissance. In the first stage, the attacker gathers information about the target. Weaponization. Once the proper reconnaissance is conducted, the attacker creates a deliverable payload or modifies an existing one based on the target system vulnerabilities. Delivery. Once ready, the attacker sends weaponized payload to the target. Exploitation. Once executed, the payload exploits a vulnerability in the target system. Installation. The installation enables the attacker to install backdoor or malware to maintain persistence in target environment. Command and control C2. Communicate via common network protocols. Yes. Using the install backdoor, the attacker can control the compromised system. Actions and objective. Reaching this far, the attacker can now carry out further actions such as data exfiltration or other system exploitation. When you are new to hacking, uh, hold on a second. Yes. So when you're new to hacking, you will most probably do this. You will only reach exploitation. You will rarely go through these. We'll see, right? I'll show you actually what I mean by this. When you are new to hacking, but when you are like expert, you will actually do all 7. Interrupted attack violates in progress. Learning objective. Upon the completion of this room, you will learn about 7 stages of cyber kill chain. Explore various attack examples within each stage. Visit different defense example related to each stage. We have a learning prerequisite, that is cybersecurity 101. Yeah, but this is not really important because uh, this is not really important. I think I have done this cybersecurity 101. Yeah, 100%. But it is not important at all. Genuinely, this is like very basics of computer and cybersecurity and networking. Like, if you are already going to do some sort of machine on TryHackMe, or if you're going to do, let's say, If anything, right, you're going to do anything in command line or whatever, you must already know cybersecurity 101 by your own experience. You should not rely on something, right? Like you should not even rely on this room, particular cybersecurity room, cybersecurity 101 room to teach you things. You should already know this. You should already be interested enough in Linux to know these, in Windows to know these, and in command line to know these. You shouldn't take cybersecurity like a study. I'm just gonna study this. मैं बस पढ़ूंगा ये और जो जो ये मुझे सिखाएगा मेरी नॉलेज वहीं तक रहेगी. नहीं नहीं. Open your own Wireshark and see how things work. Open your own command line of Windows and see how it works. Open your own Linux shell. Make your own Active Directory using VirtualBox. You make your own using VirtualBox. Like actually I have VMware and इसमें मेरे पास एक Windows machine है. Yes, there it is, Windows 11. And make your own things, right? And then you will learn. Don't rely 100% on these things. ये मुझे सिखा देगा तो now I know everything. No, you don't. Learn your own JavaScript, web apps, like everything. This was so easy to me because I already did the work by myself. You can go through this, of course. You can like have zero knowledge and learn this, but then उसके बाद खुद मेहनत करो. उसके बाद you go and you learn on your own way. कि इसने मुझे लिनक्स फाउंडेशन पढ़ा दिया तो इसका मतलब नहीं है कि मेरे को लिनक्स आ गया. नहीं, तुम्हें समझना पड़ेगा कि लिनक्स इज़ अ वेरी डीप टॉपिक. विंडोज़ इसने पढ़ा दिया तो विंडोज़ आ गया. नहीं, विंडोज़ इज़ अ वेरी डीप टॉपिक. Active Directory is a super deep topic. Networking is huge, absolute huge. This is not the full thing. Command line is extremely huge. इतने बड़े बड़े commands होते हैं. So yeah, don't think कि ना मैंने कर लिया तो मुझे सब आता है. Because one of my friends actually think like that. कि I know everything in cybersecurity, अब मैं क्या करूँ? That is not possible. तुम किसी भी प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज को घंटों कर लो, सालों कर लो, कुछ नया उसमें इंट्रोड्यूस होता रहता है. और अगर तुम अच्छे हो तब. Yeah, I hope you are getting what I'm saying here. So yeah, this is not needed Abhi for this course because you already should have enough. You should know how to make a virtual machine. You should know how to set up your own Kali, how to set up your own C2 server, how to use open source tools, right? What are man pages? You should how what is SSH? How do exploits how do you use exploits more than how do you make exploits, right? You should already know this. So how many phases compromise the cyber kill chain? Of course, 7, right? 7. Okay, so we'll go with reconnaissance. I like this. Oh shit, I clicked on it. Reconnaissance has its origins in military and refers to the act of gathering information about the target. In cybersecurity, the stage collects information about the target's vulnerabilities and weaknesses to discover potential entry points. Reconnaissance can be divided into two types, passive and active. When carrying out passive reconnaissance, the attacker performs their activity without making any noise. For example, using open source intelligence. However, in this case of active reconnaissance, the attacker cannot remain completely quiet and invisible. It requires some form of interaction with the target organization, such as using social engineering against the target personnel or scanning a target system for vulnerabilities. Reconnaissance example. There are many examples of what an attacker might do in the reconnaissance phase. Passive reconnaissance. Let's consider a few examples of passive reconnaissance. The first example that comes to mind are the WHOIS and DNS database. The WHOIS database can reveal contacts information and registration dates, the domain owners, unless hidden using privacy service add-on. You know, they sell this. I hate that when you buy a database, I mean, when you buy a domain, they sell this on, they sell this to you. This should be included in the plan, I believe. But whatever. Curing the DNS database can reveal the DNS servers and public servers IP addresses. Other examples of passive reconnaissance include website reconnaissance by crawling and scraping, social media reconnaissance, and Google dorking. Using search engines to reveal sensitive information and confidential files. Active reconnaissance. As already mentioned, active reconnaissance can get noisy. One typical example is network port scanning, which identifies live hosts and running services. More intrusive examples include vulnerability scanning to identify weakness in the target public services. Furthermore, public reconnaissance is typical, where the attacker might visit the target premises to identify entry points, study the security measure, observe the personal behavior. Countermeasures against the reconnaissance example. Defense tactics include minimizing public information exposure. Yeah, of course, but this is minimizing only. The countermeasure is achieved by limiting the information on website, social media accounts, and DNS records. Furthermore, the WHOIS record should not reveal any names and or addresses that are best left private. Many registrars often offer a privacy service, usually for an added cost. Exactly. Because when I was buying a domain, I did not buy this because I knew no one is going to check my domain anyway. It was a huge domain. It was my name, then my college name, dot shop. My full name, my college name, and then my dot shop. It was such a huge domain that, I did not even care for this. Monitoring and analyzing network traffic is law and logs is a must to detect vulnerabilities and network port scans. The security must monitor the network traffic actively to detect scanning traffic. Checking the service logs is also necessary to uncover reconnaissance attempts. Okay, yeah. What is the term used for for using search engines to reveal sensitive information and confidential files? Of course, we are using search engines, so Google working. What type of reconnaissance is it where the attacker checks the social media pages? Oh, isn't it passive reconnaissance? Yes. Weaponization. Okay. Once enough information has been gathered about the target, the attacker proceeds to the next stage. Weaponization based on the information the attacker has gathered about the target systems. They can create a payload tailored to exploit the discovered weakness. The attacker might use a ready-made exploit, edit an existing one, or create one from scratch. We should note that various frameworks and toolkits can help them in this stage. Many attackers resort to the use of obfuscation or encryption to evade detection. Furthermore, they might hide it in innocuous looking files such as MS Word or PDF file. The critical thing to note is that at the end of the stage, a deliverable malicious file will be ready to be delivered to the target system. Weaponization examples. After the reconnaissance phase, the attacker has identified vulnerabilities to target. They must use the proper exploit code to create their cyber weapon. What can the cyber attacker weaponize? A question mark. Everything from an email attachment to a USB. This is extremely true. You can literally make everything. Like recently, there was a uh, USB attacks, USB attacks 2026 FAT. Yeah, this one, the FAT FS vulnerabilities. This is amazing. Uh, this one is just great. 1 July 2026. Yes. What is going on? Okay, Cloudflare. Yeah, dumb fuck. This vulnerability was amazing because this vulnerability, what it does is, if you install, if you like connect a pen drive to your system will be hacked because your system does not know what is connected. I haven't read it completely, but this is what I mean, that anything could be an exploit. So yeah. Attackers might use one of the available exploit kits. An exploit kit is an automated platform containing various exploits for various vulnerabilities. These platforms make it easy for attackers to package the exploit code within a payload, such as executable file or specific document. Thankfully, not all documents can be weaponized to carry exploit. Attackers usually rely on creating Microsoft Office documents with malicious macros. If macros are enabled, a macro executes a saved set of instruction when the document is opened. This is one of the best ways to give your exploit to someone, but uh, there is no way to send this macro online. There is no way to send this to someone without Microsoft realizing that this file has uh, has been online, right, on the internet. So I would suggest make your own macro document, and then put that on a pen drive, and then give that pen drive to someone. So it will be offline and the macro will work. Once the malicious file is ready, the attacker might craft a phishing email. Exactly, this is what I just mean. A phishing email with malicious attachment, set up a web page to host it or save it on USB memory drive. Again, this is what I mean. On the other hand, the attacker wants to target a vulnerable service. The attacker needs to plan how to deliver the payload to vulnerable service in the next phase. Countermeasures against weaponization example. On the defender side, the user training is indispensable. When a user receives an email, they need to be careful if it contains any attachment. Moreover, they should know how to inspect the email source to check its legitimacy. Furthermore, if the email includes an encrypted zip file or payload and the decryption password, the user should suspect such email instruction before rushing to satisfy their curiosity. User cyber security training is continuous process and indispensable piece of any solid defense. Yeah, this is one of the great things too, that you send a zip file and that zip file has your virus, but it has encrypted. The file is encrypted basically, zip file. It's great because antiviruses cannot scan it without decrypting it. In addition to user training, it's reasonable to disable any unnecessary features, uninstall any unnecessary software, and remove unnecessary browser plugins. It is crucial to restrict potentially risky features such as disabling macros in Office documents or limiting them to signed and trusted sources. Such policies can be enforced via Windows group policy, which can help reduce the potential attack surface. Great. What technique is mentioned to evade detection by making it challenging to analyze malicious code? Encryption. Wait, it's not encryption? Um, it is, it is. It is encryption, come on. What technique is mentioned to evade detection by making channel analyze obfuscation, sorry, yes. Right? Yes, it's obfuscation. Or encryption, exactly. See, this is the issue. If you have watched my previous videos, you must realize कि ये अजीब तरीके से क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं ट्राई हैक मी वाले. Like it's very I don't know. It's a stupid way of asking questions. Obfuscation or encryption. So of course, I was right. Encryption was the answer, but you can also obfuscate it. What built-in feature makes creating a malicious MS possible? Macros. Let's go with delivery. In previous stage, the attacker prepared a tailored payload, and now they need to find a suitable way to transmit it to the target environment. They can pick an appropriate delivery method using the information gathered for reconnaissance. Delivery examples. An attacker keeps getting creative for the successful delivery of their payload. Phishing emails. These emails usually contain malicious attachment but might use links to malicious downloads. File names play a significant role in this attack. Invoice.pdf.exe might trick the target user, unlike program.exe. Spear phishing emails refer to the target attack where the emails are crafted to resemble legitimate communication from a source known or trusted by the recipient. For example, the sender name and email address are spoofed to appear as recipient manager. Yeah, spoofing. Email web links. The attacker might host the exploit kits on public website. Domain spoofing and URL shortening are also used to make the links appear less suspicious. File sharing platforms. Attacker might upload malicious files to file sharing web services, relying on people's familiarity with the providers. The biggest one is GitHub. In my opinion, the biggest one is GitHub. People put their own viruses on GitHub repos on a burner account, and that's how they just hack everyone. Malvertising. The attackers show advertisements on legitimate websites to redirect user to malicious page. SMS phishing, smishing. The attacker sends text messages with malicious links or instruction to download the malware. Social engineering. The attacker might convince an unsuspecting user to download and run a malicious program. Physical means of delivery. The malicious code might be saved on a USB flash memory and left in accessible location. Another example is mailing an unconscious looking DVD containing the malicious program. The attacker must always provide a convincing context, such as DVD containing a catalog of interest to target personnel. Many other tactics exist, and the new ones are expected to emerge as soon as new technologies become available. The attackers become more sophisticated with time. Guys, you must be this attacker. You must be the attacker who does not rely on these, who makes his own ideas. Be creative. Like, set up your own virtual machine of Windows and see how you can bypass antiviruses. I'm not kidding. That's how you become a great hacker. Don't rely on these. Think of your own ways, basically. Your friend is asking you for a game. Instead of a fucking game, send him a DLL hijacked virus. Do it. A DLL hijacked virus. Like, if I open my Steam library, these are my games. I go to browse local files, right? Like, change the files, give them the game, change this file, for example, or change these DLLs with your own malicious DLL. Then it will just work. Then your virus should work, basically. So this is what I mean. Do it. Of course, do it ethically, right? Just don't do anything malicious. Like, make it so that their PCs turns off, right? So you know that, yeah, the virus is working. But don't ruin someone's something. Countermeasure against delivery examples. Uh, it is like a cyber arms race where the defense team must work against every delivery method they are aware of. This list starts with the user training and cybersecurity awareness. The users are educated about safe browsing practices, phishing and social engineering attacks. Going beyond user training, email and web filtering are the standard in many organizations. Web application firewalls are indispensable in blocking malicious files available via web. Moreover, network monitoring and patch management become increasingly vital in large corporations. Many other defense tactics exist to break the attack chain and prevent successfully delivery of malicious payload. Very true. Uh, what method involves showing advertisements on legitimate websites to redirect user to malicious pages? This is malvertising. What phishing attack sends a SMS messages with malicious links or instruction to download malware? This is smishing. Let's go with exploitation. Ooh, this is nice. Following the successful delivery of malicious payload comes with the exploitation stage. Exploitation can take various forms such as software vulnerability, a weak password, or a system misconfiguration. Exploitation examples. The attacker might use various ways to exploit a system. The most straightforward approach is targeting a password-based authentication system. If the password is default or weak password, it is easy for the attacker to discover. Alternatively, the attacker can use phishing or more sophisticated techniques to trick user into submitting their password. Software vulnerabilities present another door for attackers. Vulnerabilities cover both client systems and network services. New vulnerabilities are discovered regularly, and it is usually only a matter of time before attackers develop working exploit code. Sometimes an exploit is made available before the vendor becomes aware that the vulnerability exists in the product. In this case, it's called a zero-day exploit. Yes. There are many other vulnerabilities that could be exploited, ranging from SQL injection to buffer overflow. Depending on the specific vulnerability, this can create easy entry even for someone without login credentials. Yes, all they need is an open port, and that might work. Countermeasures against the exploit. This is hard. I believe this is almost impossible, but let's see what they are saying. The security team can use many solutions to disrupt exploitation. We will list few. Password required should be enforced. Multi-factor authorization should be required to harden password-based authentication. MFA prevents an attacker for achieving any gain, even with valid set of login credentials. Patch management for servers and clients is much is a must to eradicate known vulnerabilities. Furthermore, vulnerability scanning is necessary to discover vulnerabilities left unpatched. Intrusion prevention systems can play significant role in blocking various exploitation attempts by inspecting the network traffic known for exploit. Web app fire, firewalls can block variety of attacks against web applications such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and cross-site request forgery. Yes, that is true. Yeah, this is the best you can do. True. What type of exploit is used before the vendor becomes zero day? Wait, I think they are looking for this. Yeah. What technology is mentioned to prevent an attacker from gaining access, even MFA? Okay, let's go. Installation. Oh, look at this. Following the successful exploitation of target system, the installation phase ensures persistence access to the exploited system. Consequently, the attacker can return to the exploited system later without going through the exploitation phase again. The key word here is persistence. Yes, it could be also backdoor. Installation examples. Regardless of the approach used, the persistence access must be guaranteed in the future. Otherwise, the attacker cannot continue the later phases. To maintain persistence access, sometimes creating a scheduled task in Windows. This is by far, guys, if you are ever on this step, in my opinion, this is by far the best way to do it. Just create a scheduled task. Best way, in my opinion. Or setting up cron job in Linux. Yeah, we will do this later. Is necessary. Other times they need to modify startup scripts or configuration files. Installing new service in Windows or a daemon in Linux system is one possible approach. But for this, you need administrative privileges. Administrative or root privileges. The service approach makes it easier to maintain persistence access. Attackers might resort to installing malware, creating backdoors, exactly, or installing rootkits if they have root access, among other things. Furthermore, they try to take advantage of the system's built-in functions such as legitimate Windows tools and binaries, also known as living of the land binaries, lol bins. Lol bins. This is very great, and for the best one is GTFO bins. This is the best place for lol bins, and this was added by me, fast fetch. But yeah, let's go. Yeah, this is very stupid. If I go back, okay, they are gone. In some cases, the attackers need to download and execute payloads to fortify their access. For example, they might deploy a web shell after exploiting a web application. A web shell is a small script written in programming language that is supported by the exploited server. It allows the attacker to execute operating system commands on the target via web browser interface. Running a web shell over standard protocols such as HTTPS will ensure that they can log into their target system while they camouflaging their activity within the HTTPS traffic. Yeah, this is true. But endpoints can still be visible. Countermeasure again, an installation example. It is essential to monitor new processes and services, analyzing the parent process and associated activities to detect malicious ones based on the full context required. Endpoint detection and response (EDR) allows monitoring endpoints for suspicious activities such as unusual process creation, file modification in sensitive directories, and unexpected network connections. Regular system audits and comparisons against a secure baseline are necessary to identify unauthorized changes, such as newly created user accounts or newly installed services, and revert them to their original state. Some configuration management tools help automate this process to maintain secure system and revert unauthorized changes. Another approach is application allow listing, which prevents the execution of unauthorized or malicious software by allowing only approved applications to run. The approaches we mentioned so far are not exhaustive. However, they give you an idea of complexity of the countermeasures. If the attacker successfully executes the installation phase, they can proceed to set the covert channel in the next phase. What tactic allows the attackers to execute operating system commands on the target via web browser interface? Web shell? What technique is mentioned to prevent the execution of unauthorized or malicious software by allowing only approved applications to run? Allow list. बट वही है कि इनको ये पूरा वर्ड चाहिए allow listing. Command and control, best shit. Following a successful installation of persistence across within the target environment, the attacker needs to maintain a readable and discrete access to the compromised system so they can later act on their objective. The command and control C2 phase aims to establish the covert communication channel for use in next phase. In this phase, the attacker sets up a C2 communication channel between the compromised system and their own infrastructure. Attackers can use various techniques to create such infrastructure, such as domain names, IP addresses, cloud services. To evade detection, the attacker might resort to different methods, example including creating random domain names and frequently changing the IP address. In some cases, the attacker might use only seemingly legitimate domains, so not to raise any suspicion. It is also common to use encryption among other types of obfuscation techniques to avoid getting discovered. Yes. Command and control examples. By the way, no matter your IPS, IDS, EDRs, firewalls, this is still possible. Never, I have seen many students think like, ओ अब तो यहाँ पे firewall है या फिर EDR है तो मैं नहीं कर सकता. I will not be able to do it. This is secure. Nothing is secure. It is never secure. You just have to try harder and never get lazy for trying. There is always a way. Think like that, and you will find a way. Believe that. Okay, let's go. Command and control examples. We will list tactics employed by C2 infrastructure to achieve resilient covert communication. The first tactic is using common application layer protocols such as HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, SMTP for C2 communication, which allows bending in legitimate traffic. Furthermore, C2 infrastructure may be used to use encrypted channels such as HTTPS to hide from network monitoring tools. It is also possible to use DNS tunneling, encoding data within DNS requests to bypass various security solutions and firewalls. Exactly. Regarding the domain addresses, C2 communication can use social media platforms such as X, direct messages to send commands to a botnet. Another option is use legitimate cloud services such as Dropbox and Google Docs, especially for data exfiltration. It is easy to make a botnet, but it is hard to maintain a botnet without getting detected. When I was a kid, I don't know why I wanted to make a botnet. I was like, I want a lot of PCs under my control. But of course, that was illegal and useless because even if I wanted to make a botnet, I would need some sort of a communication, right, between the botnets and the C2. So, what is the right way anyway to do that? I don't know. Because the best way would be a botnet, basically like a botnet that goes through Tor. Every connection you receive is going through Tor. That would be the best botnet in my opinion. Because that is almost impossible to trace. Another option is, okay, enough. Another option is using legitimate cloud services such as Dropbox or Google Docs, especially for data exfiltration. If the attacker registers their own domain name and uses it to establish C2 infrastructure, it will be too easy to take it down. Therefore, a C2 relies on various techniques to ensure resilient communication. Examples include domain registration algorithms and fast flux. DGA refers to creating vast numbers of domain names, for example, 50,000 using predefined algorithm. The owner of C2 infrastructure registers only 1 or 2%. The malware, in turn, will iterate over this extensive list till it finds an active one. If the domain gets blocked or seized, the malware switches to the next active one. Ooh, acha, this is how you. Oh shit! It just answered my question. I was just talking about how would you maintain a botnet. This is how you will maintain a botnet. Shit. No, but this is again a stupid way. Let's say there is a hacker who has wasted a lot of money, by the way, to register 50,000 domains. Okay. He made a malware that checks if one domain gets blocked or not, right? And then it switches to the next active one. But one guy has 50,000 domains, right? One guy or multiple guys. So if one domain is compromised, if the people know that this domain is the C2 and they find who is the owner of the domain, they can also be like, oh, he also owns 50,000 other domains, right? They can be like कि भाई इसके पास तो 50,000 और domains है, तो उनको भी ब्लॉक करो भाई, ऑफ कोर्स, है ना? So that is also how it is. Hmm. Fast flux. Associate hundreds or thousands of IP addresses within a single domain name. Furthermore, these IP addresses are swapped every few minutes. Compromised devices, example IoT devices, act as proxies to forward traffic to the hidden C2 server. If any IP address's proxy node gets blocked, the malware automatically switches to the following IP address. Yeah, same thing. Basically, all I'm seeing here is the attackers needs money. The more money you have, the more sophisticated attacks you can perform, in my opinion. It is just simple as that. Countermeasures against command and control examples. The new cybersecurity team, sorry, the cybersecurity team must consider various solutions to detect and disrupt C2 traffic. Let's explore a few. Network monitoring via firewall, IDS, IPS play significant role in detecting and blocking C2 traffic. It is essential to watch for unusual traffic patterns and volumes and connections to known malicious IP addresses. Because DNS traffic can be used to tunnel C2 traffic, monitoring DNS traffic and analyzing DNS queries is equally vital. Okay, let me read all of this, then I'll tell you a secret. Especially when stumbling across unusually long ones or detecting high volumes of requests to suspicious domains. Moreover, because web shells use HTTP and HTTPS protocols, monitoring web traffic helps detect suspicious connections. While content filtering can block access to suspicious URL, furthermore, encryption and inspection would be necessary to decrypt and inspect encrypted traffic to detect C2 communications using HTTPS. Many security teams go a step further and deploy honeypots to detect and analyze C2 communication attempts and monitor attack behavior. The list goes on. We leave more detailed dive into countermeasures to other room. Okay. I read it, but I did not read it with a sound mind. But let me tell you a thing. Many times people don't just use DNS or HTTP or HTTPS. They use programs as a C2, like Discord, Twitter, Google Cloud. They use these as C2 servers. They are much harder to find. And I would suggest if you are going to make a C2 server, try these. Try the legitimate tools such as Discord or Telegram. They are better. Because then to stop you, they would have to block Telegram or Discord altogether, not just some normal thingy. Okay, so let's go. What is the name of the tactic where data is hidden within DNS queries? DNS tunneling. So, I kind of don't want to type DNS tunneling. There it is. What protocol would your attacker use to smuggle his data as encrypted web traffic? HTTPS. Actions and objectives. Oh, look, the files are being taken away. After establishing covert communication channel, the attacker can carry out their original goals. In this phase, the attacker executes their original goals, which range from data exfiltration, information theft, to service disruption. Attacks on objectives example, the attacker might be targeting an organization for a variety of reasons. Some attackers are blaring. For example, if the attacker only interested in seeking damage, they can launch disruptive attack by deleting or corrupting data to disrupt normal system operation. On the other hand, attacker able might be after financial gain and quick riches, usually by carrying out ransomware attack, or they might be trying to get rich more discreetly, such as financial theft by unauthorized wire transfers or other fraudulent transactions. In covert attacks such as industrial political espionage, the attackers would be most interested in stealing sensitive files from their target that are commonly called data exfiltration. Alternatively, if the attacker is interested in getting access to other systems on the target network, they will try to stealthily compromise other systems on the network. Lateral movement. Yes. Lateral movement is great. It is very fun. In my opinion, lateral movement is one of the most fun things you can do in cybersecurity. In a pen test, I mean. Like literally imagine you are on a network and you are literally hacking another network that is connected to that network, which you could not directly access. That is great. Depending on target organization, the threat actor might be interested in manipulating industrial control systems. It is equally plausible that this is predicted by establishing long-term persistence presence so they can carry out their attack at a time of their choosing. The execution depends on the threat actor and their motives. We mentioned a few examples, but the list get much longer. Countermeasure again actions and objectives. Let's explore few countermeasures that organization can consider. Data loss prevention (DLP) solution can play a key role in preventing authorized data exfiltration. Furthermore, establishing a reliable backup. By the way, guys, these are all just tries. Like they are all just trying. DLP is there, but you can bypass it. Never believe ki, oh, I cannot exfiltrate data. Yes, you can. Preventing unauthorized data exfiltration. Furthermore, establishing reliable backup and recovery plan is indispensable to mitigate ransomware and other disruptive attacks. I'm saying this so that you could be smart about it, right? Don't believe, okay, because there is a Sophos DLP here, DLP solution, you cannot bypass it. Think like an attacker, basically. Think like how an attacker would. So you will be a better ethical hacker. To minimize the damage attacker can cause, the organization need to consider network segmentation and strict access control. Network segmentation isolates critical systems in case of compromised system on another segment and prevents the attacker from moving laterally. Moreover, access controls and principle of least privilege limit who can access sensitive systems and data. User activity monitoring helps detect suspicious behavior. For example, you would not expect your users to be sending DNS queries after midnight. On the on the other hand, endpoint detection (EDR) solution offer excellent choices for monitoring and detecting suspicious activity on endpoints, such as process attempting to access or modify sensitive data, encrypt files, or establish unauthorized networks. What is the term for stealing sensitive files from target network? Data exfiltration, of course. I know, I'm being a little bit lazy. What principle limits who can access sensitive systems and data to minimize damage caused by an attacker? Least privilege limit. Yeah, I knew it. Fuck it. What principle limits who can access sensitive system and data to minimize principle of least privilege. Yeah. What type of attack involves encrypting files and demanding payment in exchange for decryption key? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Let's go with the conclusion. In this room, we covered cyber kill chain at 7 phases. The most damage occurs in last phase. However, companies can protect themselves against such damage if they interrupt the chain in any of its earlier stages. Consequently, the focus of the defensive security teams, such as Blue Team, would be to detect the attacker's action related to each phase to block them. Offensive security teams, such as penetration tester or red teamer, need to follow the steps of real adversaries to ensure that their attack simulation is realistic. This allows the company to test its defenses and learn whether existing security controls are effective and how well its team can detect such an attack. What is the flag after you complete the, okay, let's do this. All right. Track the action on the correct stage of cyberkill chain. Okay, we are at, I don't get it. How do you do this? Weaponization, craft a phishing email. I think I'm right. Reconnaissance, who is curing? Installation, add a malicious service. Whoa, 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 whoa. A delivery. Um, Wait, can you change the, no. Delivery, smishing, command and control, fast flux, exploitation, discover a weak, action objective, corrupt data. Hell yeah, we were right, people. Wait, I did not copy it. Did I copy it? Yes, we did copy it. Great. This is the flag. Amazing, people. We hacked it. We hacked the cooperation. Let's go. Amazing. So a 50-minute room we did in 46 minutes while me explaining more things than normal. Great. Tomorrow we'll go with the penetration testing framework. So yeah, wait for it. 60-minute video. Let's go. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe like him, Soham. Thank you, man. Really grateful for this comment 8 days ago. I loved it. Thank you very much. And yeah, be a better hacker.